Time now for the Nick Hart Show, our weekly chat with the Gibson Southern Titans head football coach, Nick Hart. It's a presentation of the Gibson Southern Football Boosters, including Hip Dentistry, in memory of Darwin and Eric Kalis, JMCO Technologies, Kiesel Enterprises Incorporated, MyTech Systems, Robert Goob Vermillion of Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance, Rhythm Church, Evansville, Scotty's Lawn Equipment, Tenbarge Seed and Turfgrass Supplies, TYFL, Vogler Metalwork and Design Incorporated, Reinbrecht Homes, Stodgel Funeral Home and Monuments, Young's Auto Body, Light Transport, Brett's Car Care, Baker Tax and Financial Services, Cordray Insurance, Daylight Land Management, Davis Brothers, Du Bois County Garage Doors, Duke Energy, Foster Construction, Fort Branch Dairy Queen, Harper's Pub and Pizza, Hobstadt Summerfest Incorporated, Heidorn Construction, Hobstadt Family Dentistry, Hen Orthodontics, Hillside Gardens, ADG Architecture and Design Group, Dady Oil, Johnson Commercial Mowing, in loving memory of Zach Bailey, Julia's School of Dance, Kathy Solman Photography, Make Your Mark, United Fidelity Bank, Vertical Tile, Grandparents of Jackson Adams, Tri-State Fence, Emerson Cattle Company, Iron Horse Bar and Grill, Deborah Borchelt, and Pole Concrete. The Nick Hart Show, a special presentation of the Gibson Southern Football Boosters, Wabash Valley College's Radio, TV, and Digital Media Department, and 89 Won the Bash, starts now.
It's the Week 9 edition of the Nick Hart Show here on 89.1 The Bash. Cole Carter and Kyler Gammon as the Titans get ready for their Week 9 matchup against Boonville this Friday night. But first, let's go back to last Friday. It was a dominant win for Gibson Southern, 55-7 over Princeton. The stats in that game: Brady Allen, 15 for 17 with 306 passing yards and 6 passing touchdowns. He also ran in a touchdown as well. In the rushing department, Sean DeLong had 8 carries for 80 yards. Devin Roberts, 2 carries for 37 yards and a score. And Tanner Boyd, the backup quarterback, 3 carries for 105 yards. In the receiving department, Braden Malone had 5 catches for 73 yards and a touchdown. Caden Hurlis, 2 grabs for 68 yards and a score. Rory Heltzley, 3 catches, 64 yards and a touchdown. Isaac O'Neal, 2 catches, 60 yards and a score. Sean DeLong, 2 catches, 33 yards with a touchdown. And Peyton Rogers had 1 catch for an 8-yard touchdown. 6 different receivers scoring a touchdown for Brady Allen and Gibson Southern last Friday. Kyler, it was a dominant win on Friday against Princeton.
It was a dominant win, and early on we kind of had some concerns about, this team kind of looked a little bit flat in our opinion. You had penalties and just different stuff. The bad snaps. The field was obviously it was not in the greatest conditions, but that's just things that you have to persevere through. But I thought the Titans did a great job, because after the first couple of drives, they really got settled down, and we really saw that same Gibson Southern type offense. And we'll get to the defense here in just a little bit, but at least for the offensive side of the ball, we saw the same Gibson Southern offense that we've seen for this whole season.
Yeah, you mentioned the flatness. We'll talk to head coach Nick Hart about that here in just a minute. But yeah, you mentioned a handful of penalties against Gibson Southern, a couple of bad snaps, and Kyler, despite the scoreboard being what it was really throughout the entirety of the game, you just don't want to see a whole lot of penalties for this football team due to the competition they're about to start playing here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we'll also get to the crazy sectional pairings here in just a little bit as well. But yeah, I think whenever you make a habit of penalties, that's really what hurts your football team. And especially, just like as you said, as we get into the later weeks and with greater competition looming, it's one thing whenever you play the Princetons and other teams like that to where their record and just doesn't show and their season really hasn't been great so far. It's one thing that you can get by with that, especially since you're outmatched over the opponent. But once it comes to playoff time, those penalties kill you. Those penalties kill drives. They leave points off the board. So I think if they stop the habit now, obviously, you never want the habit to even begin, but if they can continue that and shut that down, they should be successful come playoff time.
Yeah, but this Titans defense, I learned a stat over the weekend that the Titans' first-team varsity defense has not allowed a single touchdown in conference play. That is absolutely incredible, and we say it every week. This offense gets the credit, gets the publicity, and they deserve that publicity. But man, this defense has been dominant all season long. If you take away, of course, the South Warren game.
You do, but I really think in that South Warren game, they really kind of brought out the best in the defense because ever since that game, I mean, they have been incredible. And really, if you jump back to week 1 of the season, if you remember right, I believe Gibson Southern's offense went 3 and out on their opening drive, and then the defense just started it off. I mean, they really started off the whole season. They got a turnover by Braden Malone, and ever since then, I mean, we've just seen so many flashes of this defense. But whenever they have done such a tremendous job. I mean, the no touchdowns in conference play. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
That is incredible. And so I'm very excited. If as much as people want to talk about this offense, and it is high powered, it is great, it's phenomenal. The defense has done a lot of fair share as well.
Yes, once again, Titans are back in action this Friday night. They host Booneville for senior night, the final regular season home game. And if you look at the grand scheme of things, could be their last home game of the season. Of course, we hope it isn't, but you never know. Sectional's right around the corner. That's going to start next Friday. You never know what can happen. We do know who the Titans will play. They will be on the road in Mount Vernon for the first round of sectional action, and we'll get you all caught up on everything that happened on Sunday in the sectional pairings at the end of the show. But Kyler, we know we've seen a couple of times, if you go back the past 2 seasons for Gibson Southern. We'll go back to last year. They played Southridge early in the year, did not play very well. Played them again in the sectional and almost beat them. Go back to your senior year, 2019. You guys lose pretty handily to Heritage Hills, see them again in the playoffs and almost beat them. So anytime you play a team for a second time, whoever wins, whatever the score is, they're going to learn their lesson and have a chance to kind of fix some things offensively and defensively.
And if I'm Mount Vernon, I mean, I'm kind of in the boat that Gibson Southern was in, just like you mentioned last year and in 2019, my senior year. It's one of those deals like where that's why you play those regular season matchups, especially because you get to see what things can we change in this next game, and especially when it comes playoff time. So, and I think Mount Vernon, I think you're going to see a completely different outcome. I really do. I think Mount Vernon, they're going to really learn from their mistakes. I think that they're just a great football team, and I think that they could have had an quote-unquote off night whenever Gibson Southern played them, because to me, it looked like that they really just were not playing their best football for Mount Vernon, and I really think that they're a whole lot better than what that typical Friday night showed. And if you're Gibson Southern, you just have to keep playing your brand of football.
Yeah.
Obviously do what you did. I'd assume change a little bit of things up so that it's not the same exact thing that you did in the first matchup against Mount Vernon, but you have to do what you did, build on that, create some, maybe throw in some new stunts, some new blitzes if you're really feeling froggy for it. And this is the dandy of sectional 32. I think this is, whenever you look at it, I think that these are the 2 best teams in sectional 32. And just like that, the blind draw strikes again, and the 2 best teams are playing in the first game.
And again, we'll talk more about sectionals later in the show, not just for sectional 32 in Gibson Southern, but other games going on in the southern Indiana region. We'll take our first break of the night. When we come back, we'll chat with head coach Nick Hart. Don't go anywhere. It's the Nick Hart Show here on 89.1 The Bash and BashRadio.com.
The Nick Hart Show is brought to you by the following Gibson Southern football booster gold sponsors: Brett's Car Care, Baker Tax and Financial Services, Cordray Insurance, Daylight Land Management, Davis Brothers, Du Bois County Garage Doors, Duke Energy, Foster Construction, Fort Branch Dairy Queen, Harper's Pub and Pizza, Hobstadt Summerfest Incorporated, Heidorn Construction, Hobstadt Family Dentistry, Hen Orthodontics, and by Hillside Gardens.
It's the Nick Hart Show here on 89.1 The Bash and BashRadio.com. Cole Carter and Kyler Gammon with you, being joined by Gibson Southern head coach Nick Hart. Coach, as always, thank you for your time. What were your overall thoughts on a big 55-7 win over Princeton back on Friday?
Man, I thought our guys did a great job. I think one thing I liked, was the way we handled the surface, the rain that we got, and there was a little bit of a sloppy track, something we haven't experienced this year, and you very well could as you get going in the playoffs here. So I thought that was a good thing for us to experience and handle really well. Yeah, I thought we were pretty crisp in all three phases of the game. A few things to clean up here and there, which is always the case. But I really did think our guys came out and executed at a high level on Friday.
Nick, you mentioned cleaning up a couple of things. There were some penalties there in the first half and a couple of bad snaps as well. Did you feel that anything was off in that game on Friday?
No. They were simulating our snap count, which led to some of the offsides and the snaps that you're talking about. So, if you kind of notice as the game went on, those went away. The officials kind of stepped in and got that stopped. That led to, then we didn't have any issues after that. So it was kind of them, a couple of their defensive guys kind of simulating how we snapped the football. I think if you remember, like one of them, we snapped it and it was a bad snap and they called offsides or delay game on them, for simulating the snap. They called it a couple of times and got it to stop. And, we probably should have changed how we were snapping the ball a little bit sooner. But, you shouldn't have to do that, and the officials did a good job of getting it fixed. But, other than that, we had a couple other ones. There was a bang pass interference. Like, you'll live with that. That's guys being aggressive. And we had a blindside block on a punt return. And, we try and teach and coach that. I think that's the hardest thing right now to avoid penalty-wise in high school football and college football, because you've grown up doing it that way. I think, in 8 to 10 years when our youth kids that are used to not being able to have those blindside blocks come up, it'll be a lot easier to avoid. It's a good rule. It's a safety deal, and I'm all for it. It's just really hard to kind of take away that instinct whenever it comes to a Friday night football game.
We've talked about your defense all season long, and really the case has been, especially in conference play, that teams simply cannot move the football on you guys, and that was once again the case on Friday.
Yeah, I mean, you look at our defense, since that South Warren game, and they have been phenomenal, in the conference. And I think somebody told me the other day that our varsity defense has not given up a touchdown in conference play yet, which is pretty, remarkable to think about. We're playing at a really high level, I think, on that side of the football. And I think what's great about, even that stat is, we've seen everything from double tight wishbone to wing tee to spread, and everything in between. So, we've been able to defend teams throwing the football. We've been able to defend teams that want to power up and play football that way. So, we got to continue to get better on that side because offenses are going to continue to get better as the season goes along. But very pleased with the way we're playing on that side of the football.
Going back to the offense for a minute, I thought Brady had one of his most impressive games of his career back on Friday. He had 7 total touchdowns, 6 touchdown passes to 6 different receivers. How unique is that Brady has 6 different guys that he can throw to that can find the end zone?
I didn't obviously realize that as the game was going on. But it says a lot about him and his, confidence in all the guys to, get the ball to the open guy and trust them to go make a play. And it says a lot about the depth that we have, at receiver and running back and, how we distribute the football through the air that way. I think it's a compliment to both of those. And our offensive line gives him, a great amount of time to find the open guy and get it to who it needs to go to. So, he was phenomenal on Friday night. But like you said, the 6 different guys catching touchdown passes is an incredible stat.
Coach, with the loss of Cole McKee, you've obviously had guys like Braden Malone and Peyton Rogers who have come from their defensive spot and was able to play receiver on offense, and Peyton Rogers even scoring a touchdown. What's that like, having guys play both ways?
Yeah, it's great. Braden's played a lot of offense. Last year he almost didn't come off the field for us. And it's, we do it when we have to. It's not what we want to do. We have a lot of I think we have more depth at our skill positions this year, and that's allowed us to kind of use him on offense in spells and not full time. But he had, he has the offense down and stuff. So when Cole went down, that was an easy fix. Peyton played a lot of offense over the summer, but we've really backed off of him and let him focus on defense. But obviously with Cole going down, he's back over getting reps with the offense. So we have some depth there, and him and Braden are going to kind of platoon that slot position until we get Cole back and healthy and ready to go.
Speaking of Cole McKee, do we have an update on where he is right now on his injury?
No, we'll wait and see. He's got a doctor's appointment this week, and we just kind of keep the rehab going and see when he gets cleared and ready to go.
We'll go ahead and take our second break of the night. When we come back, we'll talk about the Titans' upcoming opponent, Boonville, this Friday with head coach Nick Hart. We'll be right back here on 89.1 The Bash and BashRadio.com.
The Nick Hart Show made possible by the following gold sponsors of the Gibson Southern Football Boosters. Hip Dentistry, in memory of Darwin and Eric Kalis. JMCO Technologies, Kiesel Enterprises Incorporated, MyTech Systems, Robert Goob Vermillion of Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance, Ribham Church, Evansville, Scotty's Lawn Equipment, 10 Barge Seed and Turfgrass Supplies, TYFL, Vogler Metalwork and Design Incorporated, Reinbrecht Homes, Stodgel Funeral Home and Monuments, Young's Auto Body, and Like Transport.
Welcome back to the Nick Hart Show here on 89.1 The Bash and BashRadio.com. Cole Carter and Kyler Gammon with you, being joined by Gibson Southern head coach Nick Hart. And Coach, will look to this Friday's opponent. The Booneville Pioneers come to town. They're 2-5 this year. They started off the year 0-5, but they since have won 2 straight. But what do you know about Booneville?
Yeah, I think you get really careful. You get making a big mistake if you just look at their record. They're 2-5. They've lost 2 games by a point and 1 game by 2 points. So, a couple different plays here and there, and they're 5-2 instead of 2-5. And possibly, undefeated in our league, and this is a conference championship game. So, I think they're extremely young when you kind of look at their starters, especially on the offensive side of the ball. So as they have gone through the season, as you would expect a young team to do, I think they've gotten better as the season's gone along. And I think they've found a little bit, what fits, their team and stuff is you would expect as you go through a season, especially with the young team. So I think they're by far playing their best football of the season right now. And, they're going to come in here on Friday night ready to play. And we got to have a great week of practice to get ready for these guys.
As far as formations and X's and O's, what can we expect to see from Booneville? And is it a little bit easier to game plan for them now that Devin Mockabee is no longer there?
Well, yeah, or at least, you sleep a little bit better at night now that he's not there. But no, X's and O's wise, they've kind of morphed as they've gone through the season. Right now they are, they're based out of the shotgun and wing T stuff. The jet sweeps and the buck sweeps, and the quarterback powers off the jet sweep, and very similar to what you'll see Southridge running. Then he will get in like some more true spread stuff. Quarterback that's playing now, the Connor kid's a tremendous athlete, so he is he's a threat, in the air and in the running game. So they get him involved in a variety of ways in the running game. And then defensively, they're a 3-3 stack team that's going to come at you with every blitz and stunt imaginable. So we got to do a great job of picking up the blitz and their stunts and their movements and stuff. That'll be a big focus for us this week as we go through practice, making sure our protection's good and we have all that down. And we have this year. We've handled the blitz really, really well. And we don't have like next gen stats for high school. But I'd love to see, like how they break down the NFL guys and stuff, what Brady's completion percentage and yards and everything is like versus the blitz versus a normal 4-man rush, just to see the difference. And we've done really well against the blitz this year, and it's our O-line's done a great job against the blitz, and he's done such a great job of knowing where the football's got to go. But they're going to come after us probably more than any team we've faced so far this year. So it's a big week for us to make sure protection-wise we're good and able to pick everything up that they do.
You mentioned Boonville being a blitzing team. Offensively, how can you prepare for that in this week's practice? Obviously you can have your 5 guys up front. You can have Sean help block, Adrian help block, or go short passes. But how do you really game plan against a blitzing team?
Well, and again, you kind of got to get into, we obviously have a plan, but a lot of it is getting in there and seeing, where the pressure is coming from the most, how much they're actually going to pressure us. Because even though they do like to get after the quarterback, and they're not going to change who they are. They're going to bring heat. But like I just talked about, we've handled the blitz so well. Maybe they don't think that's in their best interest to, bring it as much as what they have. So, I don't think we have to change a lot about what we do. Because Brady's been so good about, when we're free releasing Sean or we're empty, knowing who his hot guy is and who he's got to throw off of. And the offensive line takes care of the 5 guys they're supposed to take care of. So, we don't have to change a whole lot with what we do. I don't think we have some stuff in if we have to, but, it's kind of a feel thing. You kind of, okay, we can keep 6 in, we can get our 5 out. And then it's, it kind of goes down to a little bit of that chess match thing of how much are they bringing people and stuff, and what can we do to cause some issues with them, whenever you get into the ball game.
So, of course, sectional pairings came out on Sunday. You guys are going to make the trip back to Mount Vernon next Friday. What did you think about how the sectional pairings went?
I try not to get into it too much. Like I've said this several times, I really don't. I'm not a huge fan of the fact that we kind of release these before the Week 9 game, because I think it can kind of take some of the pizzazz out of Week 9 a little bit, because everybody gets excited and talking about the playoffs. I wish we could do it, late Friday night or Saturday morning or something, and we'd probably have plenty of time to get done what we need to get done to get these games set up. But obviously Mount Vernon's a very good team, and their only loss is to us this year. And, I think the message when we get there next week will be, there's several times we've done it and almost done it here in the past couple of years where, you kind of take one on the chin in the regular season. You can come back and knock somebody off in the playoffs. High school football games are relatively short. I know time-wise they're going longer now as teams start throwing and stuff with some of our timing rules, but play-wise are relatively short. It's 12 less minutes than college and the pros are playing. And games can flip really, really fast. So we obviously jumped on top early last game and got some momentum and got rolling. And I think they had a hard time getting rolling. That can flip and go the other way, next week. So what we did, a few weeks ago means nothing. Is everybody kind of using the old cliche here? Everybody starts, 0-0 next week, and it'll be a big game. I think if you were seeding the sectional based off of results and not how good you think people off of results, it was probably 1 versus 2, out of the gate with what you got 2 ranked teams, playing week 1 there. So it'll be a huge test for us, but I think the whole sectional, you're going to have to play good football every single week. With our draw, you're going to have to play good football every single week. If you get out of week 1, you're going to play good football to win week 2, and so on. So that's a long way away, and you just kind of when you get there, approach it as each week's kind of your season. And but this week our focus is Boonville and making sure that we go out and try and win the conference outright by ourselves. Do that for the second straight year. So that's kind of the goal and the focus of our football team right now.
You mentioned sectional pairings being too early, and I kind of agree, but do you think it's going to be difficult on your guys to not look forward to next week and try to focus on this week's matchup with Boonville?
No, I really don't think so. I think these guys are excited. Senior night, you got a chance to win a conference championship. I don't think, we have not had an issue at all this year about, our guys, overlooking people or looking ahead or anything like that. We've done a great job in practice and on Friday nights of taking care of business the way that we should. So I don't think I have no concerns about that with this group. I don't know. It's just a personal thing more than like a coach worrying thing, just a personal thing that, I don't know why we have to get those out so early. Every other state in the country seeds their playoffs, so they have to wait until week 9's over before they announce the pairings. It's a little deal in the grand scheme of things, but just would prefer it to be, after week 9, as we only get 9 regular season games. And, it seems like everybody, is talking about the sectional draw right now. And there's some big week 9 games going on. I think it just kind of takes away from it a little bit, but again, not a huge deal, but our guys are going to be dialed in. We'll have a great week of practice and be ready to go on Friday.
All right, Coach, as always, thanks for your time tonight. We'll chat with you again next Tuesday, and good luck on Friday.
All right, thanks, guys.
That's head coach Nick Hart once again. Gibson Southern at home this Friday to take on Boonville for their final regular season game of the year, and sectionals begin next Friday. We'll take our final break of the night. When we come back, we'll talk about those sectional pairings, not just for Gibson Southern, but other teams in the Southern Indiana region. Don't go anywhere. It's the Nick Hart Show here on 89.1 The Bash and BashRadio.com.
The Nick Hart Show is made possible by the following silver-level sponsors of the Gibson Southern Football Boosters: ADG Architecture and Design Group, Gady Oil, Johnson Commercial Mowing, in loving memory of Zach Bailey, Julia's School of Dance, Kathy Solman Photography, Make Your Mark, United Fidelity Bank, Vertical Tile, Grandparents of Jackson Adams, Tri-State Fence, Emerson Cattle Company, Iron Horse Bar and Grill, Deborah Borchelt, and Pole Concrete.
Welcome back into the Nick Hart Show, Week 9 edition of this season show. It's hard to believe that we are already in the final week of the 2021 regular season, but that also means that sectional play is right around the corner. The Titans will start their postseason run next Friday on the road in Mount Vernon, right back into Posey County. They were just there a couple of weeks ago and had a big 54-6 win, but of course, it's the playoffs and things change. Looking at the other matchups in sectional 32, the other teams in the sectional for Gibson Southern: North Harrison, they will take on Heritage Hills. Corydon Central will take on Evansville Bosse. Bosse is the only Evansville city team that is in the Titans sectional. Salem will travel to Southridge, and Gibson Southern, of course, will be at Mount Vernon. Kyler, what other matchups in the sectional really stick out to you?
I really think that Salem and Southridge game, I think that, Salem, they have a really good record this year, and Southridge. Southridge is always Southridge. They're so well coached. I'm really interested to see how that is. Salem traveling to Southridge. I'm not really sure how far that is, but I believe that's probably a dandy of a travel. And North Harrison going to Heritage Hills. Heritage Hills has honestly had a tremendous year so far. And North Harrison traveling to the Jungle. That's going to be an interesting ball game.
Yeah, you mentioned Heritage Hills. That's a 2-loss team. The Patriots' only losses this year have come to Mount Vernon in Week 1 and to Gibson Southern a couple of weeks ago. But Heritage Hills, one of those teams that, you can't really, overlook in the PAC. Definitely, I think, the third best team in the conference behind the Titans and Mount Vernon. But also what stands out to me is that Corydon Central and Evansville Bosse game. Of course, Bosse, they won their first 2 games of the year and have not won since. But, of course, they're playing in a really competitive SIEC. So you give a team like that a chance to compete against some PAC teams and some teams in that area as well. Bosse could have a chance to make a run here possibly. They're going to face Corydon Central, who I don't think has won a game yet. And then they're probably going to face maybe a Heritage Hills in the second round. So keep your eye on Bosse in sectional 32. Also, other sectionals in the Southern Indiana area in 5A, this is sectional 15. Only 4 teams in this sectional, but it's Bloomington South taking on Castle, and then Evansville North will take on Bloomington North. Once again, that's Evansville. That's Class 5A Sectional 15. In the 4A Sectional 24. How about Evansville Central getting a bye? Man, a rough year this year for the Bears. They picked up win number 2 last week against Harrison, but they get the bye in the first round. Memorial will take on Harrison in the first round. Wrights will take on Boonville, and Northview will take on Jasper. So we mentioned this during the break, Kyler. A good chance we could see a Jasper and Memorial championship game in this sectional. That's the way it's setting up. Both teams on the opposite side of the bracket. So, of course, you never want to see the best 2 teams in a sectional playing the first week.
You don't, and there's a really dandy of a 3A matchup that we'll get into. You probably know what it is here later, but yeah, I'm going to jump to the 5A one, the one with Castle and North real quick. That one, Castle and North, North almost pulling off the upset against Jasper, so they have the willpower to do it. And Castle, I've heard a lot about their defense this year. And that they're really solid. So if it pans out that way, I'm not really sure the records of Bloomington South and Bloomington North off the top of my head, but I'm really interested to see that matchup and hopefully see a Castle and Evansville North sectional championship. I think that one will be a dandy. Jumping over to sectional 24 with Memorial and Jasper. Just like you said, Evansville Central struggling this year. They get the bye, so kind of live to see another week. And also, it's Memorial Jasper. It's the 2 top teams in the SIAC. Jasper has just done a tremendous job. Jasper and Memorial playing week 1, and Jasper obviously won that game. So this is playoff time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, other sectionals include in the 2A side, sectional 40. It's North Posey taking on Crawford County, South Spencer taking on North Knox, Linton Stockton taking on Tell City, and Evansville Mater Dei hosting Forest Park. Also, the other 3A sectional 30, Vincennes Lincoln taking on Princeton, Edgewood taking on Washington, Brown County against Pike Central, and Sullivan against Owen Valley. And that's pretty much all the sectionals that take up most of our Southern Indiana area. But Kyler, there's another sectional that is pretty important for Gibson Southern up north a little bit. Tell us about it.
It is the West Lafayette Brebeuf Jesuit. Obviously, the blind draw strikes again. Obviously, if you've been keeping up with the rankings, it's really been West Lafayette, Brebeuf Jesuit, and Gibson Southern, all in that top 3 region. And of course, just like I mentioned it earlier, of course, the blind draw strikes again. And the first game in the first round, you get West Lafayette against Brebeuf Jesuit. How about that? And it has happened several times, especially in the Southern Indiana region before. But, man, what a high-powered game that'll be. And really, I think that'll tell you, who is the top dog out of those 2 teams.
Yeah. And if the Titans plan on playing one of those 2 teams in this postseason, it's going to be in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Stadium. So that's kind of how the bracket's playing out. But once again, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. We don't want to overlook Booneville, who Gibson Southern plays this Friday. The Pioneers are 2-5, but they're playing some of their best football. They nearly beat Mount Vernon a few weeks ago, lost that game 13-12. They led 12-0 for 3.5 quarters. They've had back-to-back wins. They blew Washington out of the water last week. And Kyler, whether Booneville could win this game or not, there's no question the Pioneers will put up a fight.
I think that game against Mount Vernon really shows you that they have a lot of talent, and they have a lot of talent to really compete in this ball game here. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see what Booneville has, and because I believe just like what Nick, Coach Hart said, they're a couple of games away from their record being flipped to 5-2 and really competing with Heritage Hills on one of the best teams other than Gibson Southern and Mount Vernon. In this Pocket Athletic Conference. So, and like I said, this is Gibson Southern's chance to win a sectional championship, or not
conference championship.
Conference championship. Excuse me, man. It's been a long night.
Slow the brakes.
It's been a long night, but yeah. So I'm really excited to see what. I'm really excited for this matchup. I know last year the Devon Maccabee Gibson Southern game was phenomenal.
2 of them. They played them twice last year.
Played them twice, and and those are phenomenal matchups. So it's going to be interesting, and I'm really excited for Friday night.
Yeah, we mentioned Devin Mockabee. He's now up in West Lafayette playing for Purdue, and him and Brady Allen will be teammates next year. So always fun to see when these PAC players go out and play at the collegiate level. And so him and Brady Allen will both be at Purdue next fall.
How about that? I mean, Brady Allen and Devin Mockabee teaming up. My goodness.
Well, and of course, Devin had committed to Navy before recommitting to Purdue. So, Kyler, any last words before we hit the road tonight?
As we kind of wind down the regular season, it's been a joy to do these regular season games and to be on the Nick Hart Show for most of the year. And I'm excited come postseason time. I think if you're Gibson Southern, if you're a fan of Gibson Southern, I think that this is really time to be excited because obviously you've heard the rumblings, and I'm not going to get too far ahead because Coach Hart calls this rat poison. But obviously, everybody knows, okay, and whether you want to kind of deny it or not, I mean, this team is one of the best in 3A, and I believe, and personally for me, I think one of the best just in general in Indiana. So I'm excited. I'm excited. As a former player, obviously you are excited, but especially being in the booth, seeing them compete this year, it's been really a joy to watch.
Yeah, it has been the talk of the town for months now that this may be the year. And if it is the year, it's time to see if it is the year in the next couple of weeks with sectionals beginning next week. You got the semifinal sectional championship, and the Titans looking for their first sectional championship since 2015. But yeah, it all starts, of course, you got to get the job done this Friday night, and it all starts next Friday as sectionals begin at Mount Vernon. But of course, this Friday, final home game of the regular season, Boonville comes to town. That's a 7 o'clock kickoff. We'll have the pregame show for you at 6:45 right here on the Bash and BashRadio.com. So for Kyler Gammon, I'm Cole Carter. Thank you as always for tuning into the Nick Hart Show every Tuesday right here on 89.1 The Bash and BashRadio.com. We'll chat with you on Friday night. Go Titans!
The Nick Hart Show has been brought to you by the following Gibson Southern football boosters: Brett's Car Care, Baker Tax and Financial Services, Cordray Insurance, Daylight Land Management, Davis Brothers, Du Bois County Garage Doors, Duke Energy, Foster Construction, Fort Branch Dairy Queen, Harper's Pub and Pizza, Hobstadt Summerfest Incorporated, Hydorn Construction, Hobstadt Family Dentistry, Penn Orthodontics, Hillside Gardens, Hip Dentistry, in memory of Darwin and Eric Kalis, JMCO Technologies, Kiesel Enterprises Incorporated, MyTech Systems, Robert Goob Vermillion of Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance, Rhythm Church Evansville, Scotty's Lawn Equipment, Ten Barge Seed and Turfgrass Supplies, TYFL, Vogler Metalwork and Design Incorporated, Reinbrecht Homes, Stodgel Funeral Home and Monuments, Young's Auto Body, Like Transport, ADG Architecture and Design Group, Gady Oil, Johnson Commercial Mowing, in loving memory of Zach Bailey, Julia's School of Dance, Kathy Solman Photography, Make Your Mark, United Fidelity Bank, Vertical Tile, Grandparents of Jackson Adams, Tri-State Fence, Emerson Cattle Company, Iron Horse Bar and Grill, Deborah Borchelt, and Pole Concrete. The Nick Hart Show has been a special presentation of the Gibson Southern Football Boosters, the Wabash Valley College Radio, TV, and Digital Media Department, and 89.1 The Bash.